Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro in HD video blog for Friday, October 6, 2017. Tracking Tropical Storm Matthew down here in the Northwest Caribbean Sea, starting to get a little better organized, but it is still fairly loosely organized compared to the systems that we have seen as of late. There is competing energy over here in the Southeast Pacific. We have this system up here to the north, which is cutting off some of the energy. It's just too much going on out here for this to consolidate immediately and become a hurricane quickly. Now, there is still a chance for this to do so, even in this fairly short distance before it more than likely clips the Yucatan and then heads up to a landfall somewhere up here in less than 48 hours. It's this distance from here to here that we may see some significant intensification if conditions allow. It's one of those things where it could go either way, that this either comes to the coast as a broad, largely east-weighted, meaning that the weather is generally on the east side of the system like we see now for the most part, or it comes together, it's able to consolidate its energy and really start to crank up. I just don't know, and the National Hurricane Center does not know for sure. It is forecast to become a hurricane before making landfall up here, and with that comes the risk of the obvious heavy rain, hurricane conditions, and even the likelihood through some of this area of some storm surge flooding. We will have to wait and see as it gets closer to landfall exactly how much flooding there could be from surge, the onshore flow pushing the Gulf of Mexico right up against the coastline. So the 8 a.m. Eastern Time intermediate advisory, the winds are still about 45 miles per hour. It's moving north-northwest at 14, and you can see the track here maybe just clipping the northeast Yucatan and then on into the Gulf of Mexico from there, with a landfall maybe over southeast Louisiana or possibly the Mississippi coast sometime late, very late, early morning hours, whichever way you want to look at it, Sunday, and we'll just have to see. I mean, if it's at nighttime, that just makes things harder on people, especially if it rapidly intensifies. So hopefully this will hit during the early morning hours on Sunday instead of overnight Saturday. That would be preferable. Now look, I want to give you a piece of advice. So if you want to know, what to expect in your area, you can go to weather.gov and you put in your zip code, and let's just say you want to look at Gulfport, Mississippi, and get an idea of what to expect specifically for that area. You put in the zip code for Gulfport, and that takes you to the National Weather Service New Orleans Baton Rouge site, but they cover that area. And that being said, you want to look for this right here, the Hurricane Local Statement, and really any of these things here in the red area. Read these particular statements. They give you a lot of information specifically tailored for your area. All right, I talked about this a lot for Harvey and for Irma, and it's very applicable here to the Gulf Coast as well, of course. And it tells you all about what to expect in your area, not just on a national scale. So you can either go to weather.gov, and it's also even baked into the app here that you're using. Just look for it in their Hurricane Local Statement. You put in your zip code or just type in the description like Gulfport, MS for Mississippi, or whatever. And it really, really does help you understand what to expect in your area. We will be watching this closely over the next couple of days. The radar, nothing really to speak of now, just maybe some showers not related to Nate, well offshore. But the National Weather Service, New Orleans, Baton Rouge radar, this will be the one to watch. Maybe even Mobile, Alabama radar as well as this gets closer. But generally speaking, this is the area that I am the most concerned about in terms of a landfall and possible funneling of that surge right up into the Mississippi Sound here. Could see several feet of water over the roadway flooding into the land areas. Remember, surge heights are now above ground level, not just overall storm surge. The storm surge values will be given as this gets closer, and that will be above ground level. Inundation above ground level. So if you were standing there, which you shouldn't be, but you would see potentially surge heights of those values when they are predicted. We'll talk about that more probably tomorrow. All right, it's pretty short because this is headed for the coast, and once it's done interacting with Central America, where certainly it has dumped heavy rain, and even the threat to the Yucatan is there for additional heavy rainfall and tropical storm conditions, but then the threat of it becoming a hurricane and impacting the northern Gulf Coast, we'll just have to see how that pans out. Like I said, I guess it could go either way, so we need to stay vigilant and on top of this situation. I'm going to be traveling to the coast of Mississippi, be leaving here in just a little while, and along the way, I'll be posting quick updates, and I'll be posting them to hurricanetrack.com, but I'm going to share those same updates here just to save time and not have to do two separate ones. I will be streaming live on the hurricanetrack.com homepage through our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out, and I'll mention that as I post these videos for you along the way. All right, well, have a great rest of your Friday morning. Again, we always appreciate you tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth for hurricanetrack.com and for Hurricane Pro in HD. I'll talk to you again as I travel to the Mississippi Gulf Coast.